Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.
And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. Gerald Glassford coming right back at you from the PCC Multiverse, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, Lakers Latest, Lakers Fast Break, a whole bunch of stuff that I do. Please go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe. If you're one of the radio stations that still airs our show after all these years, actually on the Monday show, we're coming up on 10 years. I got to invite this guy over for a special show on that date when that happens sometime later next month. So we can go ahead and do that because I already told Josh and he was all gung-ho for it. He's still waiting to go ahead and talk with TJ on that. So let's go ahead and make sure that we can make that happen for our 10-year anniversary. But if you are listening to us after all these years, truly appreciate you doing so. Make sure, again, like and subscribe. And if you can, you're listening to us on a podcast outlet, that 5-star review really helps us out right here at the PCC Multiverse. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. Indeed, he is the pop culture guru that we have here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Got to go ahead and check him out every time he stops on by. He is wearing the Spider-Man shirt a little bit too early. I think it's going to have to make sure that gets into the washer, the dryer, clean, pressed, and set for a couple weeks from now when Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out. There you go. It is my good friend indeed. It is, of course, TJ Johnson. TJ, I know you're excited about Spider-Man. I know that there's a big movie coming out. A lot of things going on still in the world of entertainment.
Absolutely, G. First and foremost, thanks so much for having me on the show yet again. I guess you guys like me, and I'm just grateful that you keep having me come back. Either that, or you just feel sorry for me. Just, yeah, we'll let him come back on. No, whatever. He'll be all right. It's like feeding a cat. He'll just keep coming back. But anyways, grateful to be here. Thank you so much. And yes, obviously, I am rocking the newest addition to the pop culture T-shirts. My wife bought me a Spider-Man one, so thank you, honey. I appreciate it. And I am absolutely ecstatic and looking forward to the ultimate release of the new Spider-Man film and all the little tidbits that have been coming out. I've tried really hard to stay away from, but you know, when you do pop culture and you talk about pop culture, it's really hard to stay away from the rumors and the leaks and stuff like that. So I'm just excited to go ahead and get into it.
I am as well, my friend, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it in the days, weeks, and months to come as far as what's going on with the movies. I know we still have our fantasy league still going on. It's going to be, I cannot wait until Labor Day. When we can go ahead and finish that off and get the final results for the summer, and we could take a look at how bad all of us did because we
Right.
had back groups and obsession in there. So there's 2 that are off right there. So yes, that has made us look bad. Indeed. With that said, though, I know that you're playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynched. I spoke about it with Josh on Monday. It's garnered very high reviews. You spent a little bit of time with it. Before we get into the marquee event of this show in the Odyssey, and we go really heavy in depth in that, let me know your thoughts on AC Black Flag Resynched.
It's almost like I feel like I did back in 2013 when it first came out, when Black Flags came out, and being able to just sail the open seas. And Edward Kenway was such a fun character to play as. It was just a lot of fun to maneuver around with him, and it was what we needed because we went from Altair, then we went to the charismatic and the essentially the assassin, the Ezio di Auditore de Firenze, and then we went from that to Connor, So we've been on this roller coaster. If been with Assassin's Creed from the beginning, we went on this roller coaster of a great protagonists, and went from Altair to Ezio, and we went to Connor. You can kind of keep Desmond in the middle of all of that, because he was kind of the threat, obviously. But then, we had Edward Kenway, and he was just a lot of fun to play with. But the gameplay in itself was just fun. There's so much you can do, and it really just kind of feels good to go back to it. They kind of made it a little bit more modern, added some more quality of life things to kind of switch it up a little bit. Some things I liked about that, some things I didn't. I kind of wanted them to stay a little bit more faithful in the combat sense, being able to use anybody's weapon against them, and having the actual ability to use just the hidden blade as a weapon was a lot of fun for a lot of people. But we're griping it. We're pulling at straws here. It's really a really good adaptation. It's a really good remaster. It looks amazing. For as much as I'm not a huge fan of the PlayStation brand, some of the things that they've done, being able to take advantage of that hardware with the PS5 Pro is just outstanding. It looks fantastic. It runs at a buttery smooth 60 frames per second. A really, really, really great. It's a great introduction into this remastered for Assassin's Creed, and it really gives me hope that they look at remastering maybe the first Assassin's Creed, or if they want to do any of the two from Assassin's Creed 2 to Revelations, Brotherhood, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If they want to do that as well, I'm not going to be upset about it, because this one was a really, really great remaster. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not done. I've still got more shanties to find and more shanties to sing. So we got more work to do, but it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was necessary, to kind of get rid of some of the facts from 2013. The eavesdropping missions, as you alluded to, definitely just something that it was the way that they did it. It was just it was time to let it go. I think one of the things that I do wish that they would have kept was some of the weapons, being able to use a hidden dagger in and of itself as its own weapon, as opposed to just staying with the two swords. I really wish that they would have kept the ability to do that, just because I enjoyed, especially, if I go back to the first Assassin's Creed, I got to use the short sword a lot. I preferred that to the regular sword, but this is just minor nitpicking. I think the truth of the matter is, this is a really, really good remaster, remake, remaster, however they want to phrase it. I think it's considered a remake technically. I'm hoping that it starts a trend of remakes for Ubisoft in that regard. I really think that it would behoove Ubisoft to look at stuff like that, considering the fact that some of their newer, games obviously have just not really done it. In fact, it's funny that the newer games are getting blamed for being too Assassin's Creed-like, but the Assassin's Creed game that isn't obviously Assassin's Creed-like is getting rave reviews, because we love that formula in that game so much. So it seems like we kind of don't know what we want at times, but what seems to be working is nostalgia. And if that's the case, give the people what they want. We want a remaster of the original Assassin's Creed. We want to bring Ezio Auditore back. Find a way to make that happen. Like, there's money to be made there, and I think Ubisoft they'd be foolish not to take advantage of the fact that there's a little bit more love for Assassin's Creed than there was 2 or 3 games ago.
Once again, it is TJ with Guru in question right there with what's going on in pop culture. AC Black Flag Resynched is available now. I know that a lot of people have started to say some things about the microtransactions that are involved, and since it's Ubisoft, a team that is a company that's in financial turmoil right now, to say the least, looking to squeeze every dollar that they can out of anything that they put out. So this doesn't surprise me. And following this playbook of the modern gaming era, that's one of the things that I see changed for the worse since you were playing AC Black Flag in 2013. Let me know, as far as, is it inconvenient for you as far as the microtransactions that they're trying to push on you? Is it something that obviously it's not pay to win, but is it something where, is it enough there? Is it making its presence known enough to be an annoyance as far as how your gameplay is going?
No, and to be honest with you, it's these are the kind of microtransactions that I'm okay with. These are purely seem to be cosmetic, and they may even offer some gameplay benefits, But this, by and large, has nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself. You can completely go through and not touch a microtransaction and get the full experience of Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. So I really, if we were to do microtransactions, these are the kind that I'm okay with. These are purely seem to be cosmetic. I haven't seen anything that's really like you have to try it, you have to buy this to do this. That doesn't mean that they won't come out with missions for that. That doesn't mean that they won't release it. But as it stands right now, I'm getting the full game experience and I haven't paid for a single microtransaction. So if we're going to have microtransactions, I would prefer for them to be completely optional from the standpoint of you're not getting anything that's locked behind a paywall that you need to finish the story, so to speak, or to have the complete experience. You want to have that unlocked. As long as you're not doing that for a microtransaction, then I've got no problem with them. It's when you have to pay to win or when you have to unlock things to get certain aspects of the game, the full experience. That's when microtransactions become a bit of a problem.
Fair enough. Indeed, you're enjoying your time with AC Black Flag Resynced. It's been very highly acclaimed, and I'm looking forward to getting my opportunity to go ahead into it. I just finished 007 First Light, Game of the Year. Just reiterating that enough times to tell everybody out there to get it because it's
It was great. It was great.
Did you finish it, by the way? 007
Oh
First
my
Light?
goodness. I finished that. I finished that a week after I got it, man. It was that good. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't put it down. It was that much fun.
Well, for me, it was 40 hours, around 40 hours to finish it, everything. I thought it was really well done, well made. So I enjoyed my time there. So I'm looking forward to jumping into something else, and maybe that will be Black Flag Resync for me as well. But if everyone out there has any thoughts about Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync, please let me know in the comments below, indeed, or give us a shout out at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, the time has come. One of the marquee movies of the summer. It won't be the biggest movie of the summer because what could be the biggest movie of the summer is coming up with like your t-shirt says, coming up here in a couple weeks. But it is one of the high-profile releases this weekend. And with that said, my friend, it is the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's epic saga, $250 million plus, all shot on IMAX 70 millimeter, and just absolutely a fantastic spectacle. It's currently sits at an 89 on Metacritic, but it's a weird 89 because everybody that reviews it says it's fantastic to look at, and then they nitpick it apart. But they say it's fantastic, and they say you can't miss it, but then they nitpick it apart. So you tell me on that as far as the concern. It's based off of course, the 3,000-year-old plus poem by Homer, detailing the I guess the Odyssey from Odysseus, as far as it's concerned. Thus the name. It has a marquee as far as I guess installment of Stars Beyond Stars Beyond Stars. Christopher Nolan's cachet as a director, I got him pretty much every star that he wanted to go ahead and portray a role, even finding room for Travis Scott to be in there as well, which I think just like, what is Travis Scott doing there? Hey, I guess you'll find out. So with that said, my friend, yes, from just so many, led by Matt Damon playing the title role of Odysseus, and I want to go ahead and say that I'm pleased that the response has been so overwhelmingly positive for it, as far as an epic is concerned. How are you approaching the Odyssey? Are you interested, first off, because this is hitting an audience? The Christopher Nolanites are all up in arms about it. I have actually purchased tickets with my family. But we are not seeing it for 2 weeks because we can't get a ticket. We can't get a group of 4 to see it in its format that Christopher Nolan wants me to see it. We are fortunate enough to have one of the 25 locations here in the United States that has 70 millimeter IMAX. And so here in Vegas, I am going to see it, but it's going to take me 2 weeks. That's how long the wait is. That's how long the
Uh,
wait is. Unless you want to go like this.
right,
That's how long the
right.
wait is for a seat for a group of 4 seats for that platform. And I'm assuming that most people are not going to do that. But if you're just going to even see it in IMAX, I suggest doing that because that's how he wants you to see the film, being the first film ever made in IMAX. Your thoughts, my friend, on the Odyssey, and how much of an epic will it be?
Well, I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. From Inception, obviously, to the Dark Knight trilogy. Um, I, the only thing he ever did that I was kind of like, was Tenet, and that was just because it was hard for me to understand it. But I've heard once you watch it again, it's amazing. I just haven't had the, I just haven't watched it
Tenet,
yet. I'm
if
just
Tenet is a good movie that could be a great movie. It was cut down by 20 minutes. It
saying,
overstays its welcome a little bit, but Denzel Washington's kid, he is absolutely fantastic in the film. He is so
yeah,
confident in that film. And I think it was really an underrated movie, but because of when it came out and Christopher Nolan's stubbornness to want it to come out when it did instead of waiting a year, um, probably cost it a lot of money and probably a little bit more in the limelight as far as it's concerned. But I like it better than Dunkirk personally,
hmm
but
hmm
not by much. Both are still good films. But yeah, both are still
yeah.
good films. Interstellar, I think, overstays its welcome a little bit as well.
Oh, there will
Inception
be no
is
No, sir. We will not. There will be
yeah.
no
I'm
interstellar
sorry.
slander here.
It's a little touch
Mm-mm,
long. It's a little
mm-mm.
touch long. It's a little yeah. It's a little touch
Mm.
long. Sorry, but it's still
Ah,
And then Matthew McConaughey. How many crying scenes of Matthew McConaughey that you have? I guess you know what I shouldn't say that because Ryan Gosling in Project Hail Mary learned from Matthew McConaughey as far as the crying is, because he cried throughout Project Hail Mary as well. So, with that said, oh, I'm not hard. It's a great film. It's actually a really good film. Interstellar is. It is just a little long. It's just a little long. It's not like Tenet is a little bit longer, but it's so. Oppenheimer's Oppenheimer's good. Oppenheimer needs everything in it. I don't disagree on that. Dark Knight, I think, is his best film. Batman Begins is fantastic as well.
mhm.
Highly underrated. Highly underrated. I understand why people love The Prestige. I'm not as huge a fan as Prestige. I just think it's really good. Memento should be seen. You should seek out Memento as far as Christopher Nolan's films are concerned. So that's
Absolutely.
pretty
So
much where I'm at.
we say all that to say, I expect great things from the Odyssey. I don't know if it's really for me. I did up until we were talking about the previews, up until we watched that trailer, Super Bowl. I wasn't really I didn't even know about it. I had no idea. And we talked about that. I had no idea it was coming. And then that trailer came out, and I was like, okay, all right, that looks like it's going to be pretty good. Um, I think the bigger, I think it's really sad that the bigger conversation around the Odyssey has to do more so with his cast than the actual legitimacy of how good the movie really is or isn't. I think that's when the sideshow when the side topic about the movie is the actual movie itself as opposed to who's in it and things of that nature, when that becomes the forefront, then that's a bit of a problem. And I mean that because we're talking about a fantasy. We're talking about a movie based on a poem that people are having extreme prejudices against who should be playing certain characters. And obviously this is the world that we live in, and people are going to have opinions, and people have a right to have an opinion. I stand behind that. I mean, whether they're stupid opinions or not is a different conversation, but they have a right to have their opinion. Where it gets distracting and where it gets nauseating even is when you have the consistent conversations about if this person is the right fit for this character, if this person is the right fit for this character, and if they, the character should be, if they should be white versus if they should be, a person of color. Like it turns into a conversation that it shouldn't continue to be. And I think the more disappointing thing for me right now is that people are so focused on the who's playing what character, as opposed to just watching the film for what it is and enjoying the film for what it is and just letting that be what it is. There's so much more conversation about who's playing Helen of Troy. There's so much more conversation about who is playing Achilles. There's so much more conversation about having a Travis Scott with a role in a movie that traditionally doesn't seem like something that Travis Scott should even be dealing with. There's so much more conversation around the movie than about the actual movie itself at times. It's a
About the
little frustrating.
dialogue, about how they're using
Yeah,
American dialogue. The British actors are
yeah,
speaking American,
yeah,
which is funny, hilarious, because how many countless movies have we seen British actors with their American voice anyways? But
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're not because in this 3,000 plus Greek poem and
yeah,
portrayal,
yeah,
the British actors aren't all out speaking in British, because that's the only way you're supposed to portray this movie, I guess, is with speaking with British accents, I guess. So
yeah.
that's I mean, is that how it works? We always watch these films that cover a certain period of time in history, and if they speak British accents, it's okay.
I guess so, and I guess we must have missed it with Troy. We didn't seem to have that same vitriol when it came to Troy coming out. Remember the one with like Brad Pitt and Eric Bana and Orlando Bloom, and
Yeah.
there were so many other people there. They
Pitt
didn't seem to
wasn't
care
using a
then.
British accent. Yeah, Pitt
They didn't
was
seem to
using
care then. Yeah.
yeah.
But now that that's old, it doesn't sound like the time, or this person doesn't look like they should be. Helen of Troy can't be
Or
black, or
because he says "let's go" or "your
yeah,
daddy."
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't say that.
No. So I think
Crazy.
to summarize it, I think this movie can be really, really good. And I look forward to the opportunity to see it. I think where it gets more frustrating, and directors know, like, there's no way that Christopher Nolan casted these actors in these roles and didn't expect some level of vitriol, some level of backlash, some level of just people crying out foul, for no particular reason. And I applaud directors and casting directors and people that stick to their vision and don't particularly bend to the will or the whims of people who want to have that kind of say so and who should be cast for certain roles. And I can appreciate them sticking to their guns, and it gives me more reason to want to see the film. Nothing else, just to support that. I think where you have to be careful with things like that, though, is understanding that people that are filming these movies, the people that are making these movies, the actors, the directors, the sound designers, the costume designers, the set piece designers, all the above, all these people are putting their heart, sweat, tears into these films, and we potentially the audience is going to potentially be alienated, so possibly leaving money on the table for these people to continue to do their job. So there has to be a fine line, and the I don't know the right answer. I don't know the right way. I don't know how to approach that in a way that's going to be able to keep the creative integrity of the film, keep your ideas, as far as being a director, keep your ideas intact while still taking care of everybody else. It's a difficult balancing act that Christopher Nolan has to pull off, and it's one of those things where you have to know it's coming, so you have to be willing to figure out a way to work around it. And a lot of people don't seem to have that. I'm grateful that he does, but a lot of people don't seem to have the ability to do so. And there's a very, very thin line. So kudos to him for even being willing to take that kind of risk and being willing to see that all the way through and not allowing people and their opinions to alter what he feels his vision for the film needs to be.
With all due respect, he doesn't care what we think. You just hush and go watch the movie. In the
Sounds
biggest
like a
or widest,
corporation.
exactly, biggest, widest, most expensive format you can go ahead and see it in.
Yeah.
But he means it for when he says it. It's coming from him. He knows it. You believe it because it's not coming from I want to make money off you. He wants it to because he says I have a product here. I have a belief in what film was. Grew up with the film in a certain light, I want you to see it in the light that I am presenting it to. I want to see you to see it in the best way possible. I have this piece of art. I want you to see it in the way that I believe it should be presented to. And I can't fault him for that. So when he says something like that, when it comes from him, when he puts out Tenet in the middle of COVID, when he, probably wasn't the best thing to do, when he, tells you, I want it a certain way. I want it to, to be presented in a certain light. It comes from the fact that he wants to try and hold on specifics for the film industry, and that are getting lost in 2026. That are getting lost in a modern era in the age of streaming. That are getting, I guess, as far as the way it's being presented, the movie theater experience, the movie going experience. He still wants that awe, that to present to you, that awe that you could hopefully have in the theater. That's what he is hoping that you experience. And so when it comes from him, I see it as a sign of, I guess, legitimacy, and to make it, as far as it comes from the heart. It comes from the, not for the fact it comes for the the pocketbook. It comes from the heart from him, as opposed to seeing a studio head wanting you to do the same.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that statement at all. And I know he doesn't he doesn't care. And then I can appreciate that. He maintains the integrity of his vision. And I wish that more directors and producers and the big wigs did the same thing and didn't just necessarily bow down to corporate greed or corporate people think you should be do, or test focus groups, and just kind of stick to what your guns are. And win, lose, or draw, you go out on your shield, so to speak. And I can appreciate that 100%. So like I said, I have absolutely every intention on seeing it. I don't think I'm going to see it in IMAX. I don't think I can. One, you got to find a place that has 70 millimeter IMAX just to see it. In the true vision in which Christopher Nolan expects us to see it and wants us to see it. But even more so, in this economy, man, that IMAX ticket is not cheap. It is not not a cheap ticket at all. So I'll see it. But probably not IMAX, but I will definitely see it.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and see it in IMAX 70 millimeter. I've taken out a bank loan, just to let you know, and I'm starting a GoFundMe to go ahead and try,
Nice.
because that's what you need in order to see it on 70 millimeter IMAX. Because there's a regular screening, there's a regular movie theater. IMAX is a little bit more expensive. I've seen IMAX. Last time I saw IMAX was, I think, Blade Runner 2049.
Mm,
Which was beautiful, by the way, to see it in that format. Then I saw the only I told you the only um, expanded experience I have seen a movie on was Dune 2. Oh no, I saw Dune 2. I'm
mm,
sorry, also on IMAX. I saw it on
gotcha.
IMAX on 1 week, and a couple weeks later, I saw it on the DDS, the digital audio and sound, higher quality as well. So those are the only elevated experiences I've seen for a while. Otherwise, I've just seen it straight across the board in regular movie theaters. So with that said, I guess, because I have family in the house that really wants to see it, that are really into Greek mythology, I thought we'd go ahead and take advantage of it. But I did not
Mm.
order in advance. I did not know what the mood was, what the um, anticipation for was in my family, but they're really excited to see it. So I said, let me go ahead and take a look at it. So earlier today, I went to look at the tickets. First of all, again, there's only 25 theaters, or 25 places, I should say, 25 places in the US where you can see IMAX and 70 millimeter combined. I mean,
Mm.
because so many theaters do have IMAX capabilities. That's one thing. There are others that have 70 millimeter capabilities, but there are only 25 cities or 25 places you can go to that have combined in one experience. So with that said, it does come with an extra price, depending on varying where you're at. It is much more expensive, but if you are going to see it the way he is describing it, then that's probably the best venue to do so. But in order to do so, the advance tickets are so taken up to order to finally get good seats. I have to literally wait 2 weeks to do it.
Mm.
I literally will have the reviews for Spider-Man Brand New Day will be out by the time I will be able to go ahead and see the Odyssey, just to give you an idea. That's how far advanced it is. So that is good that he said it, because his preaching to the audience members has got us all trained to the point where we are clamoring to get it in this higher price format in this days and age where we're not spending a whole lot as much on concerts and special things and entertainment values. I mean, the blue dot syndrome that they've talked about a lot as far as Ticketmaster and all the empty seats, i.e. WWE, which
Yeah.
is also something we should talk about. That's something we should talk about as well. But be that as it may, my friend, with that said, I want to ask you though, again, this to me is something that I am going to go ahead and experience in its full glory. But when you see how much, I guess, advanced interest there is as far as people ordering tickets at this higher venue, higher priced format, what does that say to you when there's such a backlog of interest in it?
It tells me that they need more 70 millimeter IMAX theaters or the ability to show that in a much broader sense. But at least it goes to show that people are willing to spend the money on seeing it the way that the director intended. So that's pretty cool. And I think it goes to show that there's still people out there that clearly believe in what he does and clearly believes in that vision and wants to see it through in its totality. So I think that has to be encouraging, if nothing else, to Mr. Nolan for seeing that people still rock with him in that way, and that they're willing to spend their hard-earned money. I truly believe that you have to, as somebody who's worked for a company for the last for years, that truly believed in giving people bang for their buck. To be a director that's saying, hey, this is the way I intended for this movie to be seen, so if you have the ability to do so, please see it this way. And people being willing to say, absolutely, I'll spend $50 per ticket to go see it the way that you intended me to see it, because I trust in your vision, I trust in what you do, and I trust that this is going to be the best experience possible, so I'm going to do that. That has to be a very humbling thing to experience and to feel, to know that somebody's willing to pay double what they would pay to go see it in the regular theaters just to see it in the format that you want them to see it in. And it's so backed up that they can't even get in there for 2 weeks. That's got to be a very humbling experience that I have to imagine that, you, people don't forget the way that feels. So for me, I think it's really, really cool. And I hope that Mr. Nolan understands exactly how cool that is to demand that and people be willing to pay that price. That's pretty cool.
We'll see how long people think it will be cool, especially the fact that it does have kind of a 2 week window before Spider-Man Brand New Day hits. And we'll see how the effect on that, as far as effect, will IMAX screens still be devoted to the Odyssey because of the demand for the Odyssey on IMAX by the time Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out? When Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out, how will that be conflicted as far as the IMAX screens are concerned? Because the IMAX screens are higher priced venues, whether it's 70 millimeter or not 70 millimeters. So that is revenue that could be lost. Like, for instance, with later this year with Doomsday, and also as with Dune 3. Dune 3 has garnered all the IMAX screens ahead of Doomsday. So that's revenue out of Disney's pocket, which obviously they're still stubborn enough to say, you know what, we're not going to move it up. We're going to go ahead and keep it there. So it'll be interesting on that sense when you talk about in December. But for now, it is the Odyssey. It is coming out this weekend. Its advance notices and reviews say it's an epic film that you need to go ahead and check out. If you are checking out, please let us know. I will have my review weeks down the line, though, because I'm not seeing it in any other format than what I'm seeing it here with 70 millimeter IMAX. I'm not spending another dime. Nolan got enough for me on this one. But if you have thoughts on the Odyssey, please let me know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. 1.5 hour down, 1.5 hour to go here on the PCC Multiverse. It is TJ Johnson, the guru of pop culture, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. You have been watching X-Men 97 on Disney Plus. Some get into some streaming stuff here with Disney, with House of the Dragon, and Disney's X-Men 97. X-Men 97 season 1, especially to those who experienced as a youth or as a young individual the first go around in 1997. They were really pleasantly surprised and also very pleased with what they saw from season 1 and how it was so closely adapted to what was made before and how well it was done, story wise, animation wise, and how close it was to what they remember from as far as what they saw on Fox Kids back in the day. You, Josh, both have talked about it at length as far as how much you adore it. Season 2 has come around. It's a few episodes in. Your thoughts on X-Men 97 this go around? Have they retained the magic so far?
Absolutely. So we're 5 episodes in. We had the first 2 that were released, back to back, or I think it was first 3. There were 3 that were released back to back to back. Was it 3 or 4? Point is, we've got 5 episodes that have been out now, and the first 4 episodes were amazing, amazing episodes. They absolutely have captured the spirit of the first season of of X-Men 97 and completely just ramped it up to another level. And it's been awesome to see a lot of these things play out on TV that we've read about in comics. I think one of the problems, if you will, and it kind of leads into episode 5 a little bit, and I'll try not to spoil too much of it for you, but there are certain storylines that were prevalent at the end of season 1 of X-Men 97 that we knew would have to be addressed in season 2 of X-Men 97. And the problem when you have a lot of these shows is that they take storylines that you may feel more happily about, you may feel more strongly about, or they may resonate more with you or some fans, and they may not feel like it makes good enough television to warrant actually having episodes have an episode or episodes dedicated to telling the story in a proper way. I don't think that it's a surprise that at the end of X-Men 97, Wolverine lost his adamantium. That's pretty standard knowledge at this point. And if you looked at any of the trailers leading up to X-Men 97 season 2, you've seen a trailer where he says, "We're back, baby," and he clearly has his adamantium claws. So clearly, it was going to be addressed in season 2 of X-Men 97. I think the disappointment for me is how quickly and how neatly it got addressed. And there was a lot of room for a lot more depth with Wolverine. I think they've been very, very smart, X-Men 97, the staff runners, to steer away from being an X-Men, being a Wolverine-focused show, considering that there is so much more to the X-Men besides Wolverine. I think that they were very smart for doing so, but I think that there was some opportunity left on the table for them to really get into the nitty and grit and the psychic or the psychiatric. I don't know the right word to say, but how losing the adamantium really affected Wolverine on a psyche, on a very core level of who he is and how he gets down. That really messed him up in the comic books. And here in the show, it's addressed, but it's not addressed. And there's still a lot of meat left on that bone that could have been really picked clean. And they didn't do so. And that is what it is. But it's disappointing. I think that's just the truth about these type of shows, that they have to find certain storylines that hit certain beats. And there are going to be some things that get left on the chopping block. So with all that being said, the first 4 episodes of the season were probably 9s to 9.5s for all 4 of those episodes. All 4 of those episodes were really, really strong. Seeing the way that Xavier and Magneto had a hand in, shaping Apocalypse into who he was or who he ultimately becomes. Or maybe they didn't have a hand in it and that he was always going to be the way he was. Who really knows? But seeing how those things kind of transpired and played out was really, really fun and really just a joy. We had always seen Apocalypse on the cartoons previously, and we've seen Apocalypse obviously played by Oscar Isaac in the X-Men movie previously, but we never really understood he's supposed to be like a Thanos level baddie for the X-Men. I mean, he's supposed to be a big deal, and he was never really portrayed as such in the cartoon previously. So now he's really getting his just dues in this particular iteration of X-Men, and it's going to be fun to see how they continue that moving forward. I'm interested. I think the bigger thing for me personally, I'm going to geek out for a second. The bigger thing for me personally is understanding where they're about to go with what happened with Magneto. And if you've seen the episode, then you know what I'm talking about. I will not spoil it. If you've seen the episode, you know. But what happened with that Magneto and the way it was done in front of certain members of the team, it's really going to play into what happens next and the next big baddie of the X-Men 97. I can already see X-Men 97 season 3. This is going to be the big bad of season 3. It's going to be pretty epic. I am excited for it. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how they continue to tie all of that in. The interplay between the characters is top notch. This is really good stuff. And I think what's even more special about this is that they understand their audience. They understand that their audience grew up on these characters, and they understand that there's a bond with a lot of these characters, and they continue to pay homage to these characters in their own way. This episode 5 is as much a Wolverine centric episode as it was a Morph centric episode. We haven't gotten much of Morph in X-Men 97, season 1 or season 2. We got a little bit of season 1, but we really got more of a chance to see him do his thing and kind of understand him more in this episode of season 2, X-Men 97. So this has been a love letter to those X-Men for me, and I've enjoyed the ride all the way down. A lot of people weren't happy about episode 5, and I think it was definitely the weakest of the group so far. But that's not to say that it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think there was amazing television, and we've been eating really good with streaming services lately between Disney Plus, HBO Max, Apple TV. We've gotten some really good streaming opportunities, some really good streaming things to watch. So uh, I'm all in on X-Men 97 season 2, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to keep going on it.
Which I think we should have a larger discussion on Netflix. Which, again, I don't want to have it now because we're got a lot of things on the plate. But I think we need to have a discussion on Netflix. They're concerned that a lot of their season 2s are not hitting, which we can also go into. But also the fact that this year for them, there's been a lot of can miss instead of can't miss Netflix. There's been a lot of can miss. I have not,
Yes, there is.
my family still watches it, but for me personally, I have not seen a whole bunch. I mean, on this show, we will finish off Stranger Things, Cobra Kai. After that, I haven't watched a whole lot on Netflix. So I do want to go ahead in larger detail and talk about that as far as Netflix is concerned, why it's not hitting, because a lot of the best television right now and the Emmy nominations, which I discussed with Josh, I was going to discuss with you, leaned into that direction with HBO Max, Apple TV Plus, other outlets, and of course in Paramount Plus, they have not critical success, but they have the success from the Taylor Sheridan shows as far as Dutton Ranch and all those,
Mhm.
the relation, all of those shows that they have that are all Yellowstone, all those connections to all those shows leading into that Taylor Sheridan universe there on Paramount Plus. That's getting huge ratings. So I
Mhm.
definitely want to go into it more on a later date with Netflix. So I definitely want to go ahead and discuss that with you on that.
Yeah.
But with that said, speaking of HBO Max, House of the Dragon is coming on. And I said the other day, I mentioned House of the Dragon got nominations, but actually it was the other uh, Game of Thrones show that got more nominations out of it than House of the Dragon, even though House of the Dragon is the higher marquee show with all the dragons, higher, you can see the bigger budgets, things of that nature, more profile goes to it. But the Seven Kingdoms show,
Mhm.
actually, the Knights of the Seven
Nine to
Kingdoms,
Seven
I think.
Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nine to
yeah,
Seven Kingdoms. Yeah.
yeah. That one actually got more love from the Emmys than House of the Dragon. But technically, I think that House of the Dragon still gets a lot more higher profile as far as the from the viewing audience as well. So with that said, your thoughts on House of the Dragon? From what I've seen so far, it is one of the better, if not one of the best, technically made TV shows so far this year. I put it ahead of Fallout. I do not put it ahead of Spider Noir. Spider Noir, to me, technically, I think on a technical level, I think was the best show I've seen on television this year. But House of the Dragon certainly stands up in so many ways to its kin in Game of Thrones. Your thoughts on where we're at with House of the Dragon?
Hmm. Well, first, I hate to disagree with you twice, but I don't think there's anything that's been better than House of the Dragons from a technical
Spider
standpoint. I,
Spider Noir. I mean, 11 technical Emmys, Emmy nominations. Back that up, my
I,
friend. Sorry.
I mean, I'm not disputing that aspect of it. I hear you, and I hear them, and that's great. But we also know that they're not always right. And I will say that if you go back and look at the production that goes into House of the Dragon and what they have to do, I just don't see it. I'm fully aware of my bias. I am fully aware that I am all in with George R. R. Martin and this Song of Ice and Fire and Dance of the
And he says
Dragons and
that with a
all of this.
Spider-Man shirt on. That's so funny because you say that.
Not Spider-Man, not Spider Noir, not Spider-Man Noir. But let me be very clear. Let me be very clear. House of the Dragon right now is probably some of the best television since season 3 of Game of Thrones. Maybe season
Oh,
4. Season 4.
and I'm not saying about
I
the
know
drama.
you're not.
I'm not
I
saying about the
know you're
drama end of it
not.
because critically,
I know
yeah,
you're not. I get it. I
critically,
get it.
it's done very well, including one of the episodes getting a 10 from IGN.
I
Absolutely,
just chose
that
to
part of
move
it I
past
understand. Yeah.
I just chose to move past the technical conversation altogether. But I
Okay. All
understand.
right. Fair
What
enough.
I'm saying is that this show is amazing. Um, I cannot stress enough how much it feels like Game of Thrones is back watching that show. Again, very similar to X-Men 97, the first 4 episodes were just like boom after boom after boom. Now, granted, they have a very finite amount of literature to work with in regards to A House of the Dragon, which is based on the song A Dance of Dragons by George R. R. Martin. So if you're familiar enough with the books, then you have an idea of how this is going to end. And I think the the fun in this particular iteration of Game of Thrones, whatever, is that we have very definitive beginnings and very definitive endings for this particular story. And when you have that, you can tell a much more concise story as opposed to what, David Weiss and Benioff were able to do with A Game of Thrones, not having actual source material to finalize everything off of and, it being a whole ordeal and da 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 da. We'll get into all that. Won't get into that again. House of the Dragon really has been a love letter, and you can tell that the people that have made this show are very very passionate about it, and that they take it to heart. They understand a lot of the criticisms from Game of Thrones. They have addressed a lot of those criticisms from Game of Thrones, and they have said that we will not repeat a lot of those mistakes. And it's been easy to not repeat those mistakes because again, you have source material to draw from, and you have a full story of source material to draw from, not just bits and pieces, not just skeletons of it. And I think that really makes a difference when it comes to bringing these to light. Now, whatever issue they have with George R. R. Martin is unfortunate because it seems to always start off so strong with them. It felt the same way with the original Game of Thrones. It was such a strong collaboration in the beginning, and then as obviously the budget gets bigger and more people get into it, and the eyes are there's more eyes watching it and, more corporate people behind it. It seems like they kind of push George R. R. to the side. And you feel bad about that because obviously these are things that he has put his heart and soul into. And, while I wish he wasn't spread so thin so he could actually finish some of this stuff, he clearly has a love for it that pours out into this world that we've come to experience. And you hate to see the relationship between him and HBO kind of deteriorate the way that it has in regards to him, being able to give production notes or give thoughts and ideas on their own on what they're doing with this show. They were really close to being able to do that at one point. And then obviously, things kind of deteriorated and became very acrimoniously. So with that being said, House of the Dragon is absolute must-see television, and we are eating very, very, very well with House of the Dragon, X-Men '97. You know, as I mentioned earlier, there's stuff on Apple TV. My wife and I are currently watching Cape Fear, a great show. Amy
Oh, it's
Adams
the
is
It's
incredible in
the
it.
Javier Bardem show. Yes.
Yes, and he is
That laugh
incredible.
is already haunting in my brain. His
He
laugh
is
is haunting my brain.
incredible. I think. Yes, he is. And it was funny that I had just watched F1, and obviously, you know, he was played a big part in that movie as well, which is a great movie, by the way. I didn't watch it before. I just watched it. Oh my goodness, Brad Pitt was
I'm
great in that
glad you
film.
thought so.
I did. I did. Think clearly you didn't think so.
Josh and I, let's put it this way, as fans of the motorsport industry and of
Mhm.
decades gone by, I think
I'm
we're
sure.
obviously
I can
got
see
to
that.
attend.
I can see that. Yeah.
Both of us follow motorsports industry quite a bit. We love the sights and sounds. There was no better visual movie or sounding
Yeah.
movie last year that came out than F1. I played it when I saw it came out on Apple TV Plus. I played it up my sound system, and it was incredible, fantastic. And then they used dialogue, and that was the problem. And then it fell apart from there. But
Yeah.
again, best visual and sounding movie I had seen all last year. So yes, I'll leave it at that. You have to stretch your imagination real
Yes, you
wide
do.
as far
Yes,
as
you
as
do.
far as what they let go, and that
Yes,
stuff
you do.
cannot happen in F1 in real life. I'll just leave it at that. But go
Yeah,
ahead,
and
my friend.
for it ignorance for me is bliss. I'm not familiar with the sport. I don't know enough about it. So I have to imagine that there are a few things technically standing that wouldn't really work in a real situation. So I get
Yes,
that. It made for great entertainment. My point in saying all that is to say that we're eating really, really good at a lot of these. And to your bigger point about Netflix, I think the problem with Netflix, and obviously we'll get into a much bigger conversation at a later date. I think the problem with Netflix is that they've 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 cast their net too far. They've lost a lot of trust with the consumer, continuing to raise the prices and not delivering on the shows that they promised to deliver on, and the content that they promised to deliver on. And I think that we're finally starting to we're finally starting to I don't want to say prove it with our pockets because people are also subscribed to Netflix. But the reviews are what the reviews are, and I think people are starting to see that they're stretched too far. They kind of got their hand in too much. Um, Very similar to what Microsoft has done in the past. Very similar to what a lot of corporations that just get a little too big for their britches have done in the past and trying to touch the sun and falling short. I think that's kind of what Netflix is doing. But again, that's a conversation that we'll have for another date. So all in all, we're eating pretty good with streaming services. Maybe not so much Netflix, but everybody else is doing pretty darn good. I'd say.
absolutely indeed. But House of the Dragon is going strong. It'd be great though if we can get Nicolas Cage as Spider Noir to go ahead and ride one of those dragons, just like the whip, and there you go, right on the dragon. There you go, and ride in black and white. By the way, that's always a great touch. But I digress. But if you have thoughts on House of the Dragon, doing an incredible job so far. No one can take away the incredible job that's been going so far. Very highly thought of. Some of the best Game of Thrones. I would not argue with TJ on that one since uh, before season 8 of Game of Thrones. I'll leave it at that. And of course, X-Men '97 on Disney Plus. Please let us know. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And while I'd love to go on for about 20 minutes on live action remakes from Disney, I think
We don't
we'll
need
just cut.
to. It's just
We just
terrible. Cut it off.
let's just stop. Yeah, let's just go with Disney. Stop. No, live action Tangled. I know you're in production now with that. Please just maybe reconsider after what you saw with Moana. But with Moana's failure, that's something obviously we could deal with again. Is they're going to continue doing it. But summer sales, we wanted to go ahead. I understand with the age of again, and I had this rant with both TJ and Josh as far as physical media, the movement to try and have Sony change their mind, which they won't, in regards to physical media ending in 2028. I said I just want choice. I want choice, and that
Yes.
would be that. Just want choice. Just give me choice. That's all I ask. That's what makes me angry is they're taking away my choice. But that doesn't mean I can't buy digital. I have a lot of digital. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say I don't have a lot of digital. And right now, if you are into digital and you've sold your soul to the digital devil, and I'm only kidding when I say that, there's a ton of sales for all you
Yeah,
gamers. I know the gaming industry is in flux right now. There's a lot and that's something I think I want to also discuss with TJ and Josh as well. More is the gaming industry and where it stands. But some summer sales are going on right now. There is still the fact that you can get a good value in gaming here, whether it's PC, PlayStation, or Xbox right now, my friend.
absolutely. I mean, if you go to the Xbox market right now, there's a huge game sale. It's called the Ultimate Game Sale. And while I won't talk about every game because that'll take the rest of our time and then some, I do like to highlight just a couple. First and foremost, Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not sure where this newfound love for Red Dead Redemption 2 came from. Obviously, this game is a little bit older. You know, it's a Rockstar game, so it's always gonna age very well. But as of late, there seems to be this resurgence of Red Dead Redemption love, and I think very, very much well deserved. It was an amazing game, really was an underrated game. I think it deserved to be Game of the Year in a lot of different ways, but I digress. That's on sale for $14.99. So if you're not having an opportunity to pick that up yet, great time to do it. There's a great story there with Arthur Morgan and Dutch and the whole gang and how that all turned out and where you came up with in Red Dead Redemption, the original. So great chance to play that. If you haven't had a chance to pick up WWE 2K26, that's currently on sale for $34.99. Call of Duty Black Ops 7, a cross-gen
Actually,
bundle.
I've
If
seen
you
as low as
wanted it,
six. I just want to say I've seen WWE 2K26 as low as $6.99. Just to let you know. No, I'm sorry. That's NBA 2K26. Wrong
yeah, that's
2K26. You're right.
NBA.
Yes. I
Yeah,
forgot. Yeah, WWE, they still got a little bit higher price, but like you said, it's still
yeah,
on sale, reduced value. NBA 2K26, you can get as low as
yes.
$7. If you're one of the 5 people on the planet that does not have GTA 5, it is available under $10, I believe, on Xbox platform right now. I've seen the past couple days that's being sold for that. You talked about the Tomb Raider remake
Trilogy. Yep.
trilogy being $10, I believe it is on certain
Hmm.
outlets as far as Steam and other outlets is concerned. So if you just want the original remake that came out in the mid-teens, that's down to $3 itself. That's an incredible value for a really well made game there. But yeah, some great deals right now. Even Nintendo has their own sales going on as far as being able to go ahead and check that out on Nintendo Switch games. Switch 2 games are still a little bit harder to get on sale, but Switch games are still going good. So please go ahead and check that out. But yeah, any last deals before we head on out?
I think you hit a lot of the big ones. I think the only other one that I would ever even mention, and this is uh, if you haven't already gotten Clear Obscure Expedition 33, obviously it is on Game Pass Ultimate. I think they just released it on Game Pass Premium as well. So now, if you don't have the Ultimate version of Game Pass, you can still experience that story. That's currently at 37.49, which is really a great game. I think that Cliff Blazinski, the one who kind of started Gears of War. I don't know if you guys know who he is or not. But anyways, I digress. He just recently talked about on Twitter, I'm sorry, on X, how much fun that game is and how good it is, and how much he's looking forward to continuing playing more of that. So I guess I say that to say we are already in really tough times, and there's a lot of things that are expensive. You know, life is expensive, breathing is expensive, living is expensive. And gaming can be expensive too, but if we can help find you guys some deals and get you guys some money back in your pockets, uh, we at the Pop Culture Cosmos would love to do that. So uh, we'll try to keep giving you guys these deals as they come, as often as we can. But just know that there's ways to save some money here, and if we can find it, we're gonna pass it on to you guys.
Absolutely, indeed. Yes, for Nintendo fans, if you're interested, Breath of the Wild down 30% right there. Hades 2 down to about $21. Red Dead Redemption down to 25 on Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2. Dark Souls Remastered is down to $20. Power Wash Simulator 2, which just came out with Star Wars DLC, that is down 20% as well as far as off on sale as well. So yes, even Switch and Switch 2 owners are going on sale. And again, if you're interested in buying an Xbox, please buy it here in the next couple of weeks, because as of August 1st, that price is jacked up being even more. So there you go, indeed. But TJ, it's been a great episode. Thank you so much again. As always, you're the pop culture guru, co-host of this show. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
It's a good time to be a pop culture guy. Let me tell you, there's a lot of good stuff coming, man. We're gonna have some great content coming for you guys, so I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, indeed. We haven't even got into WWE. Like I said, bigger.
Yeah, there's so much more.
Yes, larger discussion on Disney remakes, Netflix. Yes, so much to discuss, always in the realm of pop culture, indeed. And we're always great to have you here, a part of that discussion right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for TJ Johnson, the pop culture guru, it is me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. Please make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.